All right, we are live here for Prep Huddle Live, our first edition of our 2015 campaign here, joined by Tony Chapman, as you can see. And we are proudly sponsored and presented by Cornerstone Bank, as you see below here. And want to thank those guys for sponsoring our show. We're excited to get back into the swing of things and talk some hoops tonight. We got a full lineup of show. We're going to run through ratings. We got some highlights from the York versus Gretna top 10 girls game last night in York. And we're going to be joined by Mike Sautter, founder of Nebraska High School Hoops, or NebraskaHSHoops.com, here in about 15 minutes. And so hopefully you guys stick around and please share that you're watching on Twitter by using the hashtag PrepHuddleLive as well. So I'd love to hear from you, or at Striv Sports. So good to be back, Tony. I think we're all rested up and ready to go here for 2015, and exciting rest of this basketball season. And we got quite a few teams ranked in the top 10 of each of their classes, and kind of odd 11 teams for girls and 11 teams for boys, I believe. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct. Kind of a nice even number, I guess, huh?
Or odd.
Whichever, yeah.
However you want to look at it, right? So
exactly.
Why don't we run through that and just kind of take a look at each class, and we'll get moving on through the show.
Yeah, I'll kind of just start with the girls. We'll probably dive into the boys with Mike a little bit more. That's kind of his expertise, and he knows probably more than you and I together have forgotten about boys basketball in the state. So real quickly, we have Millard West. Striv School Millard West was ranked second in the girls' rankings in Class A today. They were actually beat last night by Millard North, I believe like 46-40 or something like that. It was a fairly close game, but they're now 8-2. I'm actually kind of excited to get a chance to see them this weekend along with the Millard West boys. They'll play out here at Grand Island, and so I'll kind of be there and be able to watch them. And they have a new coach in Millard West that we kind of featured a story from the Millard West student newspaper, I know, right before Christmas about the new coach there and how things are going. As far as that goes. So exciting there. They recently played number one Omaha Benson, who won the state championship last year, to about a 5-point game in the Metro Conference Finals. So might be a team that could obviously win a few games down in Lincoln. So on the girls' side, as we briefly touched on earlier, we have York, who is ranked 5th. They were not ranked in the preseason. They're now 8-1. We will have, I think maybe when we get done with the rankings, Taylor, we'll kind of talk a little more detail about that Gretna-York game from last night.
Sounds good.
That was in York. That York won 48-43. Gretna is 4th in B coming into that game. So I would say, in B, a lot of the things that are a lot of the teams working now, jockeying for position. Lincoln Pius, after basically returning their whole team from last year, is undefeated and number 1 in Class B. Norris was preseason number 2. And they've got a solid nucleus back from a team that got beat by Grand Island Northwest in the semifinals last year. York is a team that will be right there. Holdridge is a team that would be right there. York just beat Holdridge. York and Holdridge played in the first round of the state tournament last year. So a lot of teams really kind of jockeying for position. But Lincoln Pius with Nebraska recruit Maddie Simon is probably the cream of the crop in Class B. Actually, in second ranked in Class B right now is Platteview, and they actually were in Class C1 last year. They got 3rd in Class C1. I did note, I think I read in Mike Patterson that their leading scorer is a freshman, and she just tore her ACL. So it'll be interesting to see how much longer they stay atop. In Class B there as well. So in C1, kind of the usual players there. Striv School Central City is kind of off to a surprising start. They won their own holiday tournament, avenged their only loss from early in the year to Ord with a win in their holiday tournament, and then they went out to Sydney, got snowed in route to winning the Cabela's Holiday Shootout, which is kind of a post-holiday tournament that was last weekend on Friday and Saturday. So a really nice start for Central City. I think we've kind of got some plans to feature them on the website next week, but they're 10-1 and off to a really good start, and they'll really kind of get to find out a lot about themselves as Central 10 Conference play rolls around here too. They'll get to see Holdridge, they'll get to see York in Class B, but Kearney Catholic, Minden, and Lincoln Christian, kind of the class of C1 so far. I got a chance to see Lincoln Christian play Grand Island Central Catholic earlier this year, and they start 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores, and they have a freshman Dworak girl who's a really good player, and obviously we know the Kissinger girl's younger sister. Their younger sister, who's a sophomore for Minden, they're 9-0. And Kearney Catholic, both Kearney Catholic and Minden are actually ranked in the all-class top 10, as is Crofton, who's number 1 in C2. C2, we have Sutton and Twin River at 6-3 and 7-2 respectively. They are both ranked 8th and 9th in Class C2. Sutton just beat Centura last night in overtime, and Centura was ranked 7th, so that's a nice win for the Phillies. And Sutton also has given Hastings St. Cecilia girls their only loss, so they're off to a pretty nice start. And Twin River off to a 7-2 start. They're playing some really good basketball up in Genoa with both the boys and the girls teams ranked so far. And then some pleasant surprises, Taylor, from Striv schools in D1. So we have Dundee County Stratton is number 1. They're off to a 10-0 start. And Creighton is number 5, Fullerton is number 6, and BDS is number 8. So, and all 4 of those teams were not ranked coming into the preseason. Wow. So it just kind of tells you, we talked about the last show before the Christmas break, and we discussed it in the rewind. Trying to tell you who's going to be any good in December is like, ranking the teams after the first football game and saying it's going to be gospel. So, Emerson Hubbard was the preseason number 1 in D2 or D1. I apologize. They are 5-2. I think their losses are to Crofton and to West Point Central Catholic, who are 1-2 in C2. So not necessarily terrible losses for Emerson Hubbard, but to see those 4 teams who were not ranked coming into the season is pretty impressive. I was looking at Dundee County Stratton today earlier. It's kind of fun to see a basketball team that scores the basketball a little bit. They've only scored under 60 points 2 times in their 10 wins. So they've only been at home 1 time so far. So far this year, I believe. Yeah, so they've only been on the channel 1 time. But I'm looking at their schedule here. I think they'll play at Hayes Center on Friday. And then I'm trying to see when the next time they're going to have some home games here coming up. It looked like they have Medicine Valley next Friday on the 16th. And then they actually really don't have – they've got about 4 home games all year. It's kind of an interesting schedule for them. So when we move down to D2, we have – kind of our old CRC friends there. Hampton is ranked 6th. They were ranked coming into the season. Coach Labrie there in Hampton has them off to a 7-1 start. It's got to be their best start in heck, I'd guess maybe 20 or 25 years. In Hampton, they lost their opening game of the season to beat Bruning Davenport Shickley, but then they've rattled off 7 straight since then. They won the holiday tournament over in Kennesaw. And they'll be obviously playing a tough schedule here coming up with Giltner, I think, in a couple weeks. And then the CRC tournament will feature 4 ranked basketball teams. When you have Exeter Milligan, also a Striv school, they're 9th in D2. Giltner undefeated and ranked 8th. And then BDS, obviously, in Class D1 is ranked. So that'll be a really fun tournament there. Those teams, I'm just doing the quick math, 17, 24, 29, and 4. Their combined record. So the Crossroads Conference basketball tournament, as it usually is the last week of January, will be pretty fun over at the York City Auditorium. So that kind of runs through the girls' rankings for us. And I think, I don't know, Taylor, if you have those, if you have those highlights have those highlights queued up. But we kind of talked with Coach Matt Kern in the rewind that we posted yesterday, kind of previewed the York-Gretna girls game that happened last night in York, and York got a nice game from Jordan Stearns, and then they pick up a 48-43 win over Gretna in that one. It was kind of a low scoring game. Again, we talked about the Dukes having 4 starters, including their leading scorer, Hannah Riley, who all graduated from last year, but they get 16 points and 11 rebounds from Jordan Stearns, who was kind of a bench player for them last year. But she had a nice game for them, and then they also had I thought they had one other player in double figures. Emma Grenfell. Emma Grenfell had 13 points also for York last night. But a nice balance attack. We kind of talked to Coach Kern. He's got no seniors, which is really an interesting kind of thing to have going, is to not have any seniors, especially in Class B. But they're playing 4 juniors, 2 sophomores, 3 freshmen, kind of in a about a 8 to 9 player rotation, and they're off to a great start. And I believe they're over here in Grand Island on Saturday as well. They'll take on Grand Island Northwest, who they lost a bunch of folks from their state championship team last year, and I think they're 3-5 or something like that. So that'll be another good test for York here coming up. So, and that'll be a game that'll be on the Striv channel as well. But yeah, York gets a 48-43 win over Gretna. They've now played 3 ranked teams in their last 3 games. So they lost to Elkhorn in the York Holiday Tournament final, and then they went on Saturday and beat Holdridge, who's ranked 7th in the Class B rankings, and then they've now beat Gretna. So back-to-back wins over ranked teams, and they're off to an 8-1 start. And I just checked the point standings, and they're 3rd in the point standings. So they're 5th in the rankings and 3rd in the point standings. So really nice start for Coach Kern and the Lady Dukes over there in York. So
yeah, if they take care of business, I mean, I don't know if there's just Elkhorn and Pius are above them. I mean, they were ranked 5th, Gretna's 4th. They probably aren't going to move up higher as long as they take care of business and keep doing what they're doing. They'll probably be in a pretty good spot at the end of the year.
And of course, you're going to have that same district that was loaded in volleyball as well. It'll be Gretna and Elkhorn South and Elkhorn and Omaha Skutt, all in that same district. And so all 4 of those girls' teams are ranked in basketball as well. So you'll probably see one, if not 2 of the teams there get the wild card. So really focused on I'm sure, winning the district and staying focused from there going forward. So.
Cool. Let's run through boys' rankings real quick. We'll take a break and then be joined by Mike Sautter. Remember, you guys can use the hashtag Prep Huddle Live right here. And follow us on Twitter at Striv Sports. Love to hear from you. This is the new format we kind of did in December with just 2 of us here. And we'll be joined quite a bit by our coaches and guests via audio. And hopefully the delay isn't as bad. We're going through Skype now, so would love your guys' feedback to see how it looks from your end. So shoot us a tweet at Striv Sports. Go ahead, Tony.
We'll go through the boys' rankings just really quick. I'm going to kind of start from the bottom and work my way up on these, Taylor, because I want to kind of talk to Mike about his rankings as well. So
perfect.
In D2, we have Exeter Milligan, 4-3. They've played a tough early schedule so far. I believe the losses are to who did they lose to? I know they lost to High Plains. I could have pulled
Who's
them
that
up.
Again? Sorry.
Exeter Milligan is still 5th.
Yeah.
In D2.
They just lost to Centennial in
that's
that
right.
Malcolm tournament. So
right, they've played up a little bit as well. I don't know that they've lost to anybody in their class. Riverside is also 9th. In D2, so be interesting to see again. Them and Spalding Academy were together last year, and they've separated off this year. Both teams are ranked, and so it will be interesting there to see how those 2 teams end the season. Bancroft Rosalie, unranked, 8-0 start, and they're all the way to number 1. So they'll remember. kind of interesting that they were not ranked to begin the season. They beat, obviously, High Plains in the state final last year, but I believe had 4 seniors on that team. So a nice start for Bancroft Rosalie there. In Class D1, if Heartland, who's moved up preseason 10 to number 7, they're 6-1. And correct me there, Taylor, their only loss, I believe, is to Exeter Milligan.
Yep.
And then BDS is 5th, coming off that strong football campaign. They started the season ranked 3rd and are down to 5th. And then High Plains has moved up from 8th to 3rd in the rankings. And I know you were up watching practice today at High Plains. Cameron Hudson's got that crew going again at 8-0. They are
and 9-0 after last night.
Yeah, correct.
Sorry.
They got a win last night. Was that Parkview Christian?
Yeah, on the road. So.
Yeah. So they were in Lincoln. Nebraska City Lords and Clearwater Orchard, both 7-0, are the 2 teams in front of them. And Randolph, who'd be the defending champion in D1, is 7-1 and ranked 2nd there. So pretty good basketball there. Humphrey St. Francis is 8-1, and they're ranked 6th. In C2, I'm trying to see there. Obviously, we have Twin River. Again, they went from unranked all the way up to 3rd. They've had some nice wins. I believe they beat Boone Central. A couple other nice wins. Battle Creek, correct, who's ranked 4th. They just beat them in the holiday tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
And then we have Southern Valley, who is preseason number 6, and they're still ranked at number 8, and they are 6-3.
And they played, I believe, Cozad. They played up as well, a couple of those losses. So
I think all of their losses are up, actually, to be honest with you. Hastings, St. Cecilia, and Fremont Bergen, we kind of thought they would be the 2 teams to battle with in C2, and they just kind of have switched spots. Bergen had an early loss. Early season loss. I think their first game of the year they lost, and they've rattled off 8 straight. So St. Cecilia 9-0, Bergen 8-1. In C1, another one. Shadron has gone from unranked to number 1. Their only 2 losses, I believe, are to Scotts Bluff and I think a Wyoming school. That would be about Class B equivalent. So they've won pretty nice. They've had a nice early stretch. In C2, do we have anybody ranked? It doesn't look like it.
And C1?
I'm sorry, in C1 I don't.
No, I just was looking at. I'm on the points page here on NSA. Cozad sitting 8th in points. That's 7-2 after their win over Gothenburg last night. But Boone Central, I would say that's they're 5-3.
Right.
Wilbur Claytonia 6-2, but not anywhere near the top in points. So. One school I was going to mention here in C2, I forgot, Clarkson Lee, not rated ranked, but they're 10-1 according to NSA. So great start for them. Already got in 11 games for the season, so we'll want to keep an eye out for those guys too.
And I think you're probably seeing with Clarkson Lee. They probably played a pretty heavy D1 schedule, would be my guess, just based on where they're at and who they normally play. So, be interesting to see come sub-district time where they stand there. So, Class B, we'll just briefly go through those. We have Crete and Aurora at 8th and 10th. Crete, obviously, with a nice start to the season. They won their holiday tournament. They beat Omaha Skutt in that holiday tournament. Omaha Skutt was preseason number 1. They're now 2nd at 5-4. Crete is 4-2. Aurora is 6-2 and ranked 6th. I don't know who Aurora's other loss is, but I know they lost to St. Cecilia.
Adams Central.
Okay, so there you go.
Yep.
So Adams Central is 9th in Class B. And then in A, we have Millard West, ranked 9th, that 5-2 up from preseason number 10. And Omaha Central is 6th at 6-2 up from preseason 5. And it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. And we'll talk to Mike maybe a little bit more in depth about Class A, but it looks to me like Creighton Prep and Norfolk have kind of separated themselves from the pack. And we all thought Omaha South would be there, but with the season-ending injury to the Erupt kid, the Nebraska recruit, it'll be interesting to see how South continues to play, and we'll get to see them out here in February in the Heartland Hoops Classic against Oak Hill Academy, so that'll be kind of exciting as well. So I will kick it back to you, Taylor, if you want to ready to go to commercial, and then maybe we'll bring Mike in and talk a little bit more in depth about boys basketball.
All right, yeah, we'll be right back. We're going to hear from our sponsor, Cornerstone Bank, and get Mike Sautter on the line and talk some more hoops and some breaking news that they put on their site today. So don't go away. We'll be right back. You're watching Prep Huddle Live here on StrivSports.com.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
All right, we are back here after the break. Again, want to thank Cornerstone Bank. And we are joined via Skype on his mobile phone. Mike Sautter, NebraskaHighSchoolHoops.com or NebraskaHSHoops.com. You can follow them at NebraskaHSHoops. Mike, how's it going?
Oh, man, busy day. Other than that, it's going great. Going great. You know, a lot of people don't realize that I do have an actual 9-to-5 or 8-to-5 real job, and just got off a plane and just kind of got settled back in home here after being in St. Louis for the last 3 days.
Awesome. Well, let's start off. Talk a little bit. Tony's got a couple things he wanted to talk to. We just ran through the ratings, as you said. You're watching Class B and Class A, and then we'll jump into some of the news of a former Omaha Central, which is a Striv school player that announced his transfer via your guys' website. But Tony, I'll hand it over to you to kind of talk a little Class A and B hoops with Mike.
Mike, how's it going, man?
Hey, man, it's good. It is really good. It's really cold, but that's okay. They play basketball inside. So
that's right.
That's exactly right. My coach always said I was a good outside shooter, but we play basketball inside. So that always hurt me. So I know Taylor, I think a little later, is going to talk to you about Akoi Gal's decision to choose Georgetown today. But I wanted to just run through maybe your thoughts in general on the Class A basketball scene so far. I've watched a few Class A games out here in Grand Island, and we'll be excited to see Millard West, who's your number 10 team this week, I see, and they're number 9 in the World Herald. They'll be out here playing in Grand Island on Saturday. So excited to watch them, and they're a Striv school. But just your thoughts with South's big loss. Is it looking like we're all systems go to maybe a Norfolk and Omaha Creighton Prep state final game?
It sure is looking like that right now, I would say. Central plays Prep at Ralston Arena on the 30th. That'll be a challenge. Prep also has a game with Bellevue West coming up. So it's awfully hard to go undefeated. I mean, it is awfully hard. So I'm not sure. Prep can do that. If they can, hey, more power to them. The one undefeated team in A, Norfolk, it kind of looks like they have the outside shot of making it to the state tournament undefeated. But again, last year, I mean, they lost to Omaha Bryan on the last regular season day of the year. So you never know. Central, I think, has a pretty good shot. I mean, they're right there in that kind of second tier. I kind of put them with Bellevue West and the Omaha Norths and Papillion La Vistas when healthy. Lincoln High had a great year, as everyone kind of expected out of Lincoln, and Northeast has been really a surprise. I would say, as far as of the teams in Lincoln.
I was gonna ask you about Lincoln High. I had the chance to watch them play Grand Island Senior High, and I really impressed with the job that Jeremiah Slough has done at Senior High so far. They're way more competitive than they've been the last few years, and they actually had a lead against Lincoln High in the fourth quarter. And Lincoln High is kind of they're a scary athletic team. They tell me that I'm gonna forget his name. Is it Jason? Is it Tillery or Tilly?
Jason Towery.
Towery, yeah. reminds me of Hank Gathers. I mean, he's got this kind of just motor that he can grab a rebound and go all the way down the floor, and really a nice player. Having not seen anybody in Omaha, are they a team that could maybe win a game at the state tournament if they were to get there?
Yeah, oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they have a chance. Jason, along with Keyshawn Wilson, their point guard, he's a nice player also. They have other pieces around them that play hard too. So those two are the main players, I guess. And you're right, Jason Tyree does just play super hard. I saw them play at Omaha Central, and then on a mini whirlwind tour of holiday tournaments on my way back from Hastings, I saw Lincoln High play Fremont, and one thing that really stood out to me was Jason Towery literally ran through a door to save a ball from going out of bounds. Like, I mean, it's just that he just has that level of just want to, I guess. If Lincoln High can make their outside shots, then yeah, they have a chance. They have a chance to win every single game if they can make their outside shots.
I guess talk to me about your thoughts kind of in Class B so far. It looks like people are really jockeying still for position. Gretna and Scott, probably on your side of the state, look fairly tough, and I suppose maybe we almost skipped the central part of the state. I hate to throw out like a York or Aurora teams that probably could make it to the state tournament, but maybe other teams that could get to the finals would be like a Scotts Bluff type team with the good program they have out there. Your thoughts on Class B just in general?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Gretna right now and Beatrice are probably the pick of the litter, if you will, just based off of who they played in their record so far. Mm-hmm. I did catch Adams Central against Bennington, and Adams Central missed their big man that day, and the 6'5" freshman, right? And he wasn't playing that day, and they gave Bennington everything they could handle. So I mean, hey, they have the one loss. It is to Bennington, but they can go a little bit. They just pressure the ball. It's just kind of helter-skelter, pressure the ball, fire away. And I think they have a shot too. I mean, don't discount that middle section of the state there. Just
okay.
But yeah, I mean, as you look at it, it's the EMC schools again, and Scotts Bluff, and maybe Seward even with that win. They had a really big win over Elkhorn South, and Gretna's only losses to Elkhorn South. So it's kind of just up in the air. But it does look like anybody's shot there. And I did see Scotts Bluff play against Kearney at the GNAC tournament in Hastings, and it was probably the worst game they've played in a long time. And they lost to Kearney. And Kearney's not bad. So they definitely have a shot, and Coach Siski at Scotts Bluff does a great job. And, plays that up and down pace and fired away from three. And again, they're hitting their outside shots. I don't know anyone that's going to beat them. Plus, they have two kids that are over 6'5" in the middle. So.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting to kind of see, Taylor and I were talking earlier about the Dundee County Stratton girls. They've only scored under 60 twice this year. Norfolk scores the ball really well. Omaha Creighton Prep scores the ball really well. Scotts Bluff scores the ball really well. It seems like offense is maybe making a little bit of a return. Do you feel that? Do you feel that teams are getting a little bit better shooting the ball and scoring a little bit better this year?
Yeah, I would say that, along with the fact the new hand check rule has really forced people to play defense without their hands. And it's kind of was a rule that started a little bit last year. There was points of emphasis that were very similar. And then when it got towards the end of the year, those points of emphasis seemed like they went away. And Bellevue West in Class A last year won the state tournament because they play really physical man-to-man defense, or if they're playing a zone or however. But they do play a little more physical style of defense. And so we'll see, I guess, as it gets down the line here, specifically at the state tournament. We'll just kind of have to see where we're at as far as far as that's concerned. But I think the points of emphasis, specifically the hand checking and the fouling, has been a key to the offensive numbers going up.
Right. And I'll leave you with one more question, only because I wanted to say his name. But do people in Omaha, in your neck of the woods, do they need to go see Knowledge Darby from Boys Town? It looks like he's averaging over 20 points in his first 3 games. He got to Boys Town from Brooklyn, it looked like, earlier this year. And can Boys Town have a good second half here?
Yes, if they don't, to answer both questions. Yes, they need to go see him play. He's a pretty special talent. He's a talented kid. Absolutely. If he was in Class A, everyone would be talking about it. Specifically just because of transfers, and you know how that is as far as the Class A schools are concerned. But yes, they need to see him play. He's very talented. He is from Brooklyn. His AAU team is actually the City out of Brooklyn. And they have a really good AAU program, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. And he did make his way to Boys Town this summer, and had to sit out the first couple of games just due to transfer rules and transcripts and things like that. But he definitely is. Now, can they make some noise? Coach Crable and I talked about it. They lost to someone over the holiday tournament, and I kind of asked him about it, and he said, well, you know what? They lost to Platteview. And I said, is Platteview that good? And he said, well, yeah, they're good, but we just stood around and watched Knowledge play. So if the other kids aren't just standing around and watching the one guy play, then yeah, they can. But if 1-on-5 is really hard to do. So.
Yeah. Excellent. Taylor, I'll throw it back to you. I know you guys wanted to talk a little bit about Coy Gal from Central.
Yeah, so Mike, why don't you tell us kind of how all that went down today, and you guys officially breaking the news of him announcing his transfer, and how you got a hold of him and kind of the process of that.
Yeah. So the biggest, I guess he visited a few schools, obviously, during the break. He came back to Omaha and visited. He had an unofficial visit to Missouri, Kansas City first, which Missouri, Kansas City, the reason for that, it's 3 kind of reasons. One is Kareem Richardson, same coach that got him to commit to Louisville, was an assistant coach at Louisville. And then last year, took the head coaching job at Missouri, Kansas City. So there's that connection there. And 2 of their assistants know Coy very well. And the one being their newest assistant was director of operations at Louisville last year when Coy was there. And the other just we'll skip that because for personal reasons. But that's the reason there. And then he obviously went on a visit to Marquette next. He was at the Nebraska game with Indiana, and then he visited Georgetown. He did take an unofficial to Wichita State, which no one really kind of knew about. And really liked him, but again, it was just kind of scholarship numbers and whatnot. So same sort of thing kind of happened with Nebraska. It came down basically to Nebraska and their numbers as far as just how many scholarships they could have. They right now with McVay committing yesterday. They're at 13 scholarships for next year. If they would have taken a Coy, that would have been 14, which would have meant they oversigned. And that's really a hard sell to do, especially so what 2 kids are going to have to leave the program while playing? That would have been the thought. So Nebraska was just more of a numbers game.
Gotcha.
Really enjoyed his visit to Marquette. Obviously enjoyed his visit to Georgetown. Georgetown was on him out of high school too. They were a finalist. He had taken a couple of visits out there when he was in high school. So that's that. But how it went down, I guess, how we got a hold of him is just I've had a relationship with him for years.
Cool.
And he trusts me and trusts me to keep information, I guess, sort of private. And in that this business, as you guys know, trust is king. And you know, if people can trust you to hold to your word, and then you know, you get the benefits, I guess, if you will.
Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to know is just, you know, what if, and you answered it right there. It's kind of a numbers game for him not to come to Nebraska, because I know that was something everyone talked about, and that makes a lot of sense, and wish him all the luck. They're Georgetown. Kind of funny, we get Abraham and they'll get a gal now, I guess, huh?
Well, yeah, what was funny is, so Moses, when Okoye was in high school, was at Georgetown.
Oh, okay.
And when Moses was at Georgetown, Okoye visited, and I mean, Moses was all they talked about, really, I guess.
Really?
And now he's in Nebraska, so it's just kind of maybe a trade. I don't know.
Yeah. So. Very cool. Well, Mike, really appreciate you being on the show here tonight and adding insight. If it works with your schedule, we want to continue to have you on, and we're going to be covering pretty heavily the Central Conference Tournament, Southern Nebraska Conference Tournament through live streaming, and we'll obviously see you down at State. And so we'll look forward to having you.
And I'll see you guys out at the Heartland.
And that as well. Yep.
Valentine's Day. Yeah. Yeah, my wife's super excited about me being in Grand Island on Valentine's Day, but hey, it's part of the deal, right?
Tony, that's where Tony lives, so he'll show you a good time.
Yeah. I do enjoy that event. It's a neat event. I like the all-day deal, so those are always fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate the time and loved having you on the show.
Hey, thanks, guys. Anytime.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Yep, bye.
All right. Thanks, Mike. And you can follow them again at Nebraska HS Hoops on Twitter. And a great resource there. They do a lot of recruiting stuff that you can pay for to get access to. And they've got writers all across the state. And going to continue to partner, hopefully, with him on some stuff in the future. And we have similar interests and want to share stories about these student athletes and schools and coaches. So, Tony, I think the last thing is just our little teaser of our interview headed up to High Plains today to talk with Coach Hudson of the High Plains Storm, who, as we said, are now 9-0 in Class D1 and looking to make a trip back to the state championship as they did in Class D2 last year, moved up to D1. So I'm going to show that real quick and we'll close out the show.
All right, final question. Is it true you owe all of your success to getting the teeth kicked out of you by Hampton in high school?
Well, that did happen. That happened a lot, actually. And, you know, there are some things, though, that I took into my coaching philosophy from the way Hampton played. But 1996, the last time we played Hampton, we did come out on top. So I think some of that goes to that, too, is that you can persevere and you can get it done against really good teams.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so little insight to that question, Tony. It was number 5, the last question I asked Coach Hudson.
Yeah.
Do you remember the words of that question? What it was?
I asked him if he owed everything,
all his success.
If he owed all his success to getting kicked in the teeth by the Hampton Hawks when he was in high school.
So I did not tell him that question before I asked it, and you just saw his reaction there was pretty priceless. So he had a nice comeback for you and had some kind words for you after we stopped rolling the tape. So I appreciate Coach Hudson, a great friend of ours, and love what they're doing with Striv, has been a big supporter of us, and so it was great to head up there today on a chilly winter day. They've got a game against Hampton tomorrow night, and so they're trying to rest up and get some guys healed up as well. They've been battling pretty hard and trying to stay undefeated. So you can get the rest of that interview. It's on the homepage of strivsports.com. So go there right now, click out of this, stop watching us, go watch the interview. It's under 4 minutes. Coach Hudson talking about his team this year and their road back to the state championship. So thanks, Tony. As I'm losing my voice, so that means we need to cut it off here. And
let's be done.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I think we had did you see the tweet we just got there?
Yeah, that's my guy.
Want to give a shout out to him, Tony?
That's my guy, Mark Borchter, former Kansas City Chief and Hastings College Bronco. Mark Borchter, thanks for watching in Kansas City, my friend.
Absolutely, very cool. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I appreciate the tweet, Mark. And we'll be right back here next week, 7:30 p.m., with another episode of Prep Huddle Live. Have a great night. And I want to give a quick shout-out. We put them up underneath, but Front Runner Fab, great sponsor of ours through the rest of this school year. If you need new bleachers, new seating for your school, give them a call. I'll flash up their number there, 308-550-0151. And appreciate those guys and their support, as well as Cornerstone Bank. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.